Miss Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, today we're going to talk about something I guess that really ticks me off, but also all those other things because we can. Because we can. Welcome to everyone to Midmorning Musings. Welcome to everyone to Midmorning Musings, where I fill up my coffee cup, and when the coffee cup is gone, we're done. Or if Pilates comes, whichever is first. Thank you for everyone being here in the chat. Let me say hello. It is Keck44. Thank you for being here. And Sultan Al Fahim, thank you for being here too. And they're all saying hello to each other. As always, with these mid-morning musings or midday musings or midnight musings, never quite had midnight yet. I'm pretty worthless late at night. I always had the open question going along in the banner. What would you like to muse about? If there's some, if there's something you would like to muse about, please go ahead and let me know in the chat if there is anything you would like to talk about or just bring up a subject and I will address it. I do, though, claim veto power. I always claim veto powder. I claim veto powder because veto powder is very important. Veto power. Okay. Oh, hello. Good morning. Thank you so much, Keck44. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well, Miss Martin. I am. Just trucking along, singing a song. I think I'll be able to do more of these daily shows, at least for the next week. Before I have some commitments I need to do. I will be flying back to Florida. Nice. Because I do. That's what I do. It is Shane Nolan. Yes, I love it. I love seeing so many people from the future. If you want to chime in, anyone, especially from your part of the world, if you feel comfortable doing so, let me know what's going on. Especially if you are from the future, because I always like to hear how fucked are we. And hound, we love our animals here at Miss Martin Muses. Yes, we do, precious. Woof, woof, arf, arf, bark, bark to Miss Martin Muses and everyone. Yes, and even though they are not here on the cam, if there's ever a day when I will be able to do so, you would all be able to know that there are two cats usually lurking around in my studio. So there are two cats and a dog. Now, Hound is here. Hound, good boy. Everyone loves Hound. 2000, just applying for a new job. Okay, well done. Hope this is the start of a new chapter for you, and hope you get the job and it's everything that you want it to be. Because I'll tell you what, being stuck in a job you don't like sucks. Or even one maybe that where you need a little more compensation. So hopefully that will work out. Shane, just more hugs. I'm sorry. Yeah, woof woof, hugs, kisses, and nose boops. I can't do animal noises. If I could, I would be assisting with them. I'm not really one for voices. The only voice I really do well is the voice of Leia when she is in disguise in Return of the Jedi and talking to Han Solo. I do it very rarely, though, because it is very bad for my voice. It is bad for my voice to do that. And since I'm not a professional voice actor, I don't know how to do it without hurting myself. I also double that as a Satan voice whenever I want to do Satan. So let's see. Look who's here. It is Jacob Ironside. Good morning, Teresa in chat. Tonight, I will be on Jacob's channel at 6 o'clock Central. We are going to be having our ideal cast for the Middle Earth, rather. Not just Lord of the Rings. About half of my characters, my castings are from the first and the second age. I have some badass ones, if I say so myself. And meaning that there's some really badass characters that you can find in the Silmarillion and the Akelabeth. And it would be so nice to get to see those on screen and done properly, but we're going to get neither. Everyone's just saying hello. So Jacob, feel free to put the link to that stream or to your channel in the chat. We are at 24 days till Halloween. Yes, we are. Yes, we are, precious. 24 days till Halloween. And 26 days, oh no, 25 days till All Saints Day, where you either celebrate it religiously like me, or you celebrate it with 50% off the candy. If you're lucky, it's 75%. 75% though is more like an All Souls Day thing. Yeah, we do a lot of dead stuff. And then Day of the Dead, if you're around a place that really, really goes all out for that All Souls stuff, Day of the Dead's fun. Let me see. The picture you chose, Miss Martin, makes her look angry. Yes. Well, that's it. Yeah, there is a tempest in her. There is a tempest in her. When I was on Mara Jade's channel, Jade Shadow, that was just after that preview had come out, and we decided. Just kind of turns out that that is a very good euphemism for the time of month. Because she really does look PMSed. It's like, and that she needs someone to bring her chocolate or a hot water bottle or something for her cramps. But thank you for that segue. Thank you for that yeah. Thank you for that segue, Sultan Al Fahim, because yes, it is about the Rings of Power writers. Need to be fair, poor Galadriel, or rather, poor the actress who plays Galadriel. It's not her fault. She is only reading what she is told to read, and she is only delivering it in the manner she is because she is being told to. And it takes a very great actor to be able to take HIT and turn it into gold. Very difficult to do. There we go. Oh, I hope you didn't give the wrong one there. If we're gonna have everyone join us, we are gonna have 1,000 guests. If that's so, you might want to delete that. What do they say? Delete this now. Just double check that there. Thank you, Cake44. Unless it's another kind of streaming you're doing. But sometimes people do that. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this because apparently you are evil. Like, evil. And the reason why I put for the subheading on my thumbnail, the Rings of Power writers come out as Almighty God, because to say people and what they're doing is patently evil. Those were their words. If you're criticizing this show, I mean, first of all, judgment is only for God. Like, no one's allowed to judge. Only God's allowed to judge, okay? And to be honest, I think even God isn't that judgmental, okay? God is not that harsh in his judgment as these people are. And I think it's very ironic, maybe a little ironic if they don't understand the source material, because one of the whole things with Sauron and how he seduced the Numenorians and all that was to get them to sort of a false religion kind of a thing, because it was all in a rebellion against the one true God. It's just insane. Okay, so we went from, if you don't like it, you're sexist. If you don't like it, you're homophobic. Still trying to figure that one out. If you don't like it, you are now evil. I mean, I don't know about you. And if someone tells me, watch my show or you're evil, that just doesn't make me want to do it. But let's look at some proportion here. Let's look at some proportion. Evil, something patently evil, that is something that you save for things like mass murder, atrocities in war, like when you go and blow up an entire city of women and children, concentration camps, Moff Mittler. That's the kind of stuff that is patently evil. And there's a reason why you're supposed to use evil sparingly. But you don't like a TV show. That's now evil? It's it's unbelievable. It's laughable too, because when you look at those two guys, it's like there is a God, and you are not you're not He. Okay. Uh, how dare they? How dare they? Okay, this is what really ticks me off. How dare they? How dare they sit around and call anybody evil? I mean, anybody. I mean, or if you're gonna call somebody evil, you better, by golly, have a darn good reason to do so. And also in that article, they give a big old straw man because they say, first of all, they present our story is about fellowship and people getting along in different races and all of that. And that's what Tolkien's work is all about. And they don't like that. So that's just so evil. And it's like, first of all, no, 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 and no. First of all, that's not what it's all about. And second of all, if that's what their book or their version of whatever from Tolkien's work, which it's not. Okay, so you decided to make that the theme. Well, congratulations. Okay, that's the theme. When people are criticizing this show, they are not criticizing, oh my gosh, they're showing love and friendship and cooperation. That's not what people are criticizing. So it is a straw man. They are setting up a straw man, attacking people, and then calling them evil for it. Let me give another example. There's a lot of really, really bad Christian fiction. You know what I'm talking about. Some of those movies that guy from Growing Pains did. And you'll see some of those books in Christian bookstores, and I have nothing against the sentiment of people behind it because obviously they're doing it because they love Jesus. Okay, isn't that nice? But if I look at that and I'm like, this is ridiculous, this is laughable, this is like over the top melodrama stuff, it doesn't mean I don't love Jesus. It means I just don't like your story. And you know what else is about love, friendship, and all that? Like friggin' Dragon Tales, Barney. Okay, but that drives me crazy. But it's not what Tolkien's work is all about. It is not even close. Okay, let me rephrase that. When you read the works, especially the Fellowship of the Ring, yes, obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that is what is in some ways being presented. You have each one of them is a different race, or many of them, not each one of them. You know what I mean? You have men represented in Boromir and Aragorn. You have a dwarf in Gimli. You have the elf in Legolas, and you have the four hobbits. Of course, yes, you're going to have that because they're a fellowship. But that is not what it's about. And I commented on this in somebody's, I think it was the Night's Watch, that I think it's letter, is it 221? I need to look it up. I think it is. But Tolkien tells us what it's all about. It's all about death and immortality and man's lust for that. It's not about friendship and all sorts of other stuff. Okay. It says here, everyone has an evil side. Everyone has an evil side. We just use it or suppress it. True. True. Okay. Though let me be a little kinder to humanity. Let me be a little kinder. Again, evil is a very, very strong word. All right. We have a capacity for evil. We might have a dark side. We might have choices we have to make, right? But that does not mean you have to give in to them. Emotions are very natural, things that make you angry. I'm talking about something that really ticks me off. But what you do with them is what can be bad or can lead towards evil. For example, I could be really mad at these guys, and I am. What I could do something really evil, though, with my anger towards them for what they said. You'll go after their family, try to dox them, even be cruel to them. Because I'm still a firm believer, no matter what anyone does or says, the second you use the same tactics against them, that you're actually dipping yourself into, I'm being careful with my wording. You're almost as bad as they are, okay? Because the whole thing, in Lord of the Rings, when it says you don't use the ring even if you want to do it for good. So I'm saying what I'm saying about these people, but I would never ever condone anyone threatening their family, their lives, I mean, I their appearance. I get issues with people making fun of people's appearance because I think that loses the point, and it will also it's too easy to deflect. It's like, "Oh, you're just a jerk who's just making fun of people with big noses," and the reason I say that is I could very easily make fun of these guys' appearance. They are not very good-looking men, though they try to do so, but what how does that help your point? And it's cruel. It's cruel. Don't be cruel back. You gotta stay above the ground. Okay. Oh, Shane's saying, "Hope he'll see the stream." Thank you. What you described sounds like the Queen of Dragons did to Westeros. I think you're talking about in the TV show when she, firebombs with her dragon because she got triggered by some bells. The bells. Oh my gosh. I mean, I've been through everything. I've been through all of this. My husband died, my baby died. I had to crawl across a desert. I lost people I love. I've been in battles, but by golly, I can't handle bells. So screw everybody. I'm gonna firebomb them. Shane Nolan says agreed. Don't sink to their level. Yes. And Sean says, sorry, Shane, ad hominem is irrelevant and counterproductive. It is. It is. And it really ticks me off when I see that happening because it then makes it very difficult to make valid arguments against them. It makes it very difficult. I'll throw this out here about some of the race stuff. We could debate some race swapping, and we can debate it, I think, very intelligently. But some of it went a little too close to, yeah, that's just a little too much focus on the race there. And I'll leave it at that. And so it makes it very difficult to say, no, we're not coming at it from a position of racism because people do judge by the group. It's not fair, but it's true. Got to be careful with that. You can't give them an opening. You can't give them an opening because this is what I would say a little bit about the racing. It's like, okay, I accept the race. Just throw it out there. If you ever are finding in your fantasy world where you get to talk to these showrunners, to all those people in charge of this terrible, terrible TV show, you say, okay, I'm cool with the race swapping. You can race swap whoever you want, but how about you stay true to Tolkien and everything else? Then what will they say? It's like, okay, I can accept that. I can accept that as a bargaining tool. But no, they won't come back and be faithful to the story and everything else. For one thing, they don't have the right. Second of all, they have no inclination to because they want to change it. So that's how you argue with these people. Okay. You never accept the premise either. It's like, okay, so if that's the case, well, then guess what? You're not really talking about race right now, are you? You're talking about changing the work. Jacob Ironside says, we are all sinful and have a capacity for evil because of sin. Yes. Yes. Original sin. And no one's more aware of that than I am because I do have a tempest in me. This time I'm not talking about the euphemism. Everyone does. There's in Catholicism, that's why we have uh, the sacrament of reconciliation and are encouraged to do so frequently. Usually you're expected at minimum to do it once a year. And I'm like, if you're only doing it once a year, you're doing it wrong. Okay. I try to go there at least once a month, maybe twice a month, because you've got to keep yourself in check. And a reconciliation confession has all sorts of names. To a priest anonymously, especially, I prefer anonymously, it keeps you honest. Okay, because it's very easy to just say, well, I'm kind of sorry about this and all that. But if you have to go through the examination of conscience, which you're supposed to do every night, by the way, and then think about it, meditate on it, have I been an unkind person? Where have I, or maybe I've done something that's actually really bad. Have I, what we call the mortal sins? Mortal sins tend to be any breaking of the 10 Commandments, adultery, lying, stealing, uh, murder. Those are bad, bad things. Of course, obviously, to confess that. And then after you've done your examination of conscience, then you have to the priest will also give you like a plan, if you will, depending on how much time he has. Sometimes they'll do the whole three Hail Marys, three Our Fathers. It's like, fine, okay, whatever. I'll do that because then that forces you to meditate on it at the time. But then sometimes they also might give you some advice and a plan of action, like and then you make a firm resolve not to do it again. So there's a plan, like what led up to me stealing, or what led up to me being a mean girl. And yes, oh my gosh, I have the capacity to be a mean girl. I just keep it in check. In the House of the Dragon, the way Soppin is done well. Yes, Sultan I fan, that's a good point. I actually don't know if it's done well within the world, but I would say it's done well because I haven't seen them making a big, huge fuss about it. And it says something that most people who are loving the House of the Dragon, they don't care. I think that proves that it's not about race, some of these things. Not really about race. If the Rings of Power really was what I said it was gonna be, if it was gonna be this big masterpiece, if it was actually Tolkien's work and it was adapted well, no one would give a rat's rear end about the color. You might be a little bit, "Hey, she's black. That's weird," because, dwarves there weren't black. There were black dwarves, but not there. But you'd get on. You'd move on from it. I have seen some casting like that, especially on stage. It's always more common on stage. It has been, especially where there's singing involved. In opera, very common to do race swapping because you have to do the best voice. In the House of the Dragon, oh yeah, I just read that, but they are missing the purple eyes. Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Hello, John Sue. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good greetings. Chinloy says, I always feel better after confession. Oh, hail yes. Oh, and this is the other thing. You can also be too hard on yourself. This is something that Christians sometimes can do. It was a trap that Martin Luther actually fell into, which led to other things where you're like almost unhealthy against yourself. I sinned. Oh my God, I'm going to hell. I'm a horrible person. I'm going to go beat myself. I'm going to go cry, go into this big depression. At the end of confession, the priest will always say, your sins are forgiven. You need that human to human contact. You need someone to hear that, to tell you that. And Jesus set up things this way because he knew we needed it. Sometimes people say, "Well, I can just go straight to Jesus." It's like, yeah, you can. Absolutely, you can. But why did Jesus set up the sacrament of confession? And he did. It's when he breathed on the apostles at the end of the Gospels and gave them the power to forgive sins. He did it for a reason. He said, because we needed it. He knew that we were human. We are an incarnate religion. Hound says, in the time of war, the law falls silent. Can the meaning of that be considered evil? If you do harm to other people to save your country people, can that be considered evil? That's a tricky one because it is morally just to use force, even lethal force, if it is done to defend. Um, it's the whole, if someone's running at me with a knife and about ready to slit my throat, I have a right to use any means necessary or to save someone else. If someone's going to kill somebody or something, you have a gun, you have a right to use lethal force. It's so hard with war, though. What is defensive? What is offensive? Because of fallen human nature, especially the rich and the powerful, all throughout history. It's a problem. Hey, it's Zax. Hello. Again, I apologize if I'm not getting through this. I think this is great, though, that so many people are in here. Hello. I've got 12. This is awesome. Hello. Thank you for being here and thank you for giving me a rose. Yes. That's a good question. Can you do evil that good may result? Objectively speaking, no. Never. Um, oh, I I feel for soldiers. I feel for soldiers. Because on the one hand, they have to follow orders because otherwise the military would suck. It wouldn't be effective. Boy, yeah. Okay, Zax is saying hello, and an Irish flag. Yes, we love Ireland here at Miss Mountain Muses. Let's see. Enjoy your trip. Oh, that's Zax. Okay. Hello, Zax. Everyone's saying hello to Zax. Okay. Shane Nolan says, Miss Martin Muses, there was a good BBC show with Sean Bean playing a modern day Catholic priest in confession. No, no, don't do that to me. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's almost a sin. That is an occasion of sin to have Sean Bean playing a holy, I'm assuming a good priest. Wow. I'm gonna have to look that up. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah. Um, Zach says, yes, Shane had a boat tour and a sandwich called a French. So good. Oh, I'm not sure where you went, but that sounds amazing. I want to start traveling again. I'm going to start up Teresa Travels. It's probably going to end up being a separate channel. Originally, I was going to call my channel Teresa Travels because I was traveling all over the place, and then stupid COVID ruined everything. So we came up with Miss Martin Muses. Sweet. Hello. I should post more pictures of my trips. Maybe I'll do some things like that. Go back to my old ones, especially a lot of the haunts in Ireland. There's so much to see in Ireland that is so amazing, and people miss it because the tourist spots only go to certain places. But man, if you can get yourself a car or or know an Irish person to drive you, or have a sister like me who was able and old enough that she knows how to drive in Ireland, like on the left side of the road with the stick backwards, do it or hire a driver because go to those haunts. Go to those places that people don't know about. Ones that's just off the top of my head is the Dock Beach in Kinsale. Hidden behind a little pub across the bridge outside of town, and you get a great view of Charles Fort. Inter Arnhem enim silit legos. In times of war, the law is silent. Oh, okay. Thank you. And if I butchered the Latin, I butchered it because if it's not something that you sing or pray in the mass, I don't know how to say it. Shansu says, yes, my understanding is that the commandment is not murder, but frequently mistranslated with not kill is incorrect. Correct. You're right. It is not to murder. Because if that were the case, everyone would be sinning left and right, even in the Bible. The right to self-defense is absolute. Beck says, a Hollywood reporter doesn't decide what's good or evil. Yes, yes. Again, they're not God. They're not God either. Isn't that disturbing, Zax? I think that's disturbing. They're taking on all the trappings of a religion. They have their high priest, they have their inquisition, they have the worst of organized religion, things that that people of certain religions abandoned centuries ago. Burnings, the Inquisition. But I always say, but at least about the Inquisition, at least you had a right to a defense in the Inquisition. You had a right to hear your accusers. You had a right to a trial. I'm not justifying anything, okay? But I'm saying a lot of actually our modern law things kind of got started in that. And you have a right to do that. No, here is judge, trial, and execution. They are our new religious fanatics. I just read what a friend chief is okay. All right, everyone's saying hello. Oh, good, very good, priest. Like I said, that's something else. I think the other evil thing that and when I say evil, obviously I'm not using it correctly, was have in the tutors when they had St. Thomas More being played by Jeremy Northam. Like Mr. Knightley is St. Thomas More. Stop. Stop. Does Sean Bean die in the show? I don't know. All right. It's called Broken. Okay, Miss Martin Music called Broken by Jimmy McGovern guy who wrote Cracker. I will look it up. Hello. Smiley faces. Hound. Wilkins. Matt Wilkins is here. Thank you for being here. Let me see. I'm bringing back burnings if it's for Steve. Oh no. No, he doesn't deserve that. And I'm gonna tell you, I always do. I always tattletale. Zach says, Tree said the article is very disturbing. Had all the trappings of dictatorship. Yes, yes. In the worst kind of dictatorship. Well, okay, let me slightly rephrase that. I think the worst kind of dictatorships and things we've had have actually been to report atheistic, but this has a religious thing going on, a religious fanaticism. It's a religious dictatorship. Benedict XVI called it the dictatorship of relativism. It's really scary. And the rules keep changing, and you have a different pope every other day. And that's not even kind to the pope, because the pope actually has a lot of restrictions on what he can do or not do. I mean, he can try, but it won't mean anything. Okay, Wolf of Hug Sucks. Okay, everyone's hugging. Hugging and booping. What of a theocracy, secular. Yes, a secular theocracy. The worst, yeah, the worst of the old trappings of religious theocracies, and you bring secularism into it. And again, relativism, because they can't ever define what is truly good. Good is what they decide on that day. Good is what they decide on that day. And if you stepped out of line or retroactively stepped out of line, you're done. You're done. What article is this? Oh, I should probably bring it up. It was in Vanity Fair. Though I don't want to give it any clicks, sons of biatches. It was in, was it Vanity Fair or was it, gosh, I think it was, someone just said it was too. Zach just said it was, and I'm completely Hollywood Reporter. Hollywood Reporter. My fault. My fault. The Vanity Fair would be that'd be appropriate. Vanity Fair. Yes, excellent point. Why, thank you. I'm assuming one of those things I said. Religious dictatorship. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Vanity Fair. Yes. Um, it's well, I guess you could read about it by going to Bounding into Comics, because of. Let me see if I could do that. That way, it wouldn't give them a click. Let's see, Bounding into Comics. One thing about Bounding into Comics, oh my gosh, 300 million thousand ads will pop up. 300 million thousand. And that is not hyperbole. Hello, we have 15 people up here. We have 15 people. We are talking about the showrunners of the Rings of Power coming out. They have revealed that they are no less than the Almighty God, pronouncing judgment upon upon humanity. Except I said at the beginning that this isn't fair, though. This isn't fair because even God isn't that judgmental. It's probably a slander to call them coming out as Almighty God. Mara did a video about it. Oh, okay, cool. Yes, go see Mara's video. If one of my wrenches could link that, because Mara has some really good content. Got to make that money. Yeah, and I understand. I'm not necessarily criticizing or the, them having the ads, but that doesn't make it any less annoying. Any less annoying. I just tried to bring it up for example, and it's like, yikes, all these things clicked. Yeah. Well, what's really good about Mara's content about the Rings of Power, so is Lady Gravemaster's Nerdrotics as well. They are actually people that have read the books. No judgment on people that aren't as delved into it, because you can hate whatever you can hate very easily, one way or another. Uh, just even if just having seen the movies and you see this and you're like, this is total shite. Of course, it's gonna be that way. You're gonna have a good judgment, but content like what Mara might do, she'll be sitting there talking about it, and she'll pull out the what would she pull out? She would pull out like the unfinished tales. And one thing that I have a lot of notes on is from lectures I did about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, on the letters, the works of Tom Shippey. Oh wait, it was Vanity. Oh, we're all confused now. It's all right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You'll find it or find it on Bounding into Comics. Yes, they are very passionate ladies. Yes, yes, Lady Greymaster is awesome. Yes, we love her. Yeah, she's been with us from the beginning in our the when we went through all the books together. It was great. Well, I don't know if it's worth going through the article. I think we've kind of said what we said about it. It Just compare though these dorks to, for example, Peter Jackson. When people didn't like what he did with Lord of the Rings, and he did some things in there that I was not a fan of at all. He never came around and said, "You're evil if you don't like what I did to Faramir," for example. "You're evil if you don't like that I put Arwen in the place of Glorfindel." There we go. Thank you, Keck44. Thank you, mods. Yeah, and I appreciate all you. I'll try and there's so much material out there. I do understand. Okay, I need to send a little message here. I'm gonna vamp a bit. Oh, that's me. Never mind. Is that my message? It is my message. Do you ever do that where you're thinking, "Oh, I've got a new message," and it's not? It's someone else. It's very simple what's happening with the Rings of Power. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. Period. And you can tell that it would suck. You knew it was going to suck the second they said they weren't using Tolkien's work. End of story. And then to think that you could come up with the story Tolkien never wrote, the greatest author of the 20th century, prose author of the 20th century. Yeah, that's not going to happen. And then think that your little clever MacGuffins and mystery boxes are going to in any way, even compare to what it is, let alone make a decent TV show. It's a height of hubris. And then people are like, this sucks. Well, I wonder why it sucks. And I don't know if these dorks, yeah, that's as close I'll be to being mean, ever stopped and thought, out of all the writers, of all the successful writers in Hollywood, in the whole world, Why did they get chosen to do this? Why did they get chosen? And why did they accept it? Was it offered to other people and they said, "Oh, hell no"? Because any person worth their dignity would see it for what it was, a project doomed to fail, because you cannot out Tolkien. It would be like trying to say, "I want you to write the Shakespeare play Shakespeare never wrote." No one would try that. And also, I think a writer worth their salt would see it for the trap that it was, because they are going to be the fall guys. Do they really think anyone's gonna hire them after this? You had Benioff and Weiss, who no one wants to touch with a 10-foot pole, even after the monetary success of the Game of Thrones, because it was the biggest show in the world, but because they crashed and burned it so hard, no one wants to touch them. Yes, Faramir, again, makes me mad. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Peter Jackson had chosen to write those scenes in the Two Towers the way it was in the book? Holy crap. Those lines that Faramir said when he was dialoguing with Frodo and Sam, and the way that they were almost playing a little chess game, because he knew they were avoiding stuff, they were avoiding other stuff, and then when it finally just laid the cards on the table, we're talking about the One Ring, and then getting to hear what Faramir thought about it. He was a scholar. Could have been really, really awesome. And I think that the whole Faramir thing fell flat because Jackson, for different reasons, felt like he had to change what Tolkien did. It was one of his worst decisions. Didn't have to do all that silly stuff. Like, I'm gonna take him to Osgiliath, and then Frodo's just gonna sit there in front of the dragon and the Witch King and go, "Hi, you want the ring?" And then Sam's just gonna tackle him. Oh, just all that is ridiculous. Shane Nolan says Jacob Ironside. I think it was the one 2 days ago, or the rap director one. Yes, it's your evil twin, Miss Martin. Wait, who's my evil twin? Did I miss that reference? Oh, or is it when I said dork, when I was mean? Yes, yeah, that was my evil twin. There you go. That's the right one. I think that's the right one. Okay. Shane Nolan says Faramir and the Gollum thing, because that bothered me. Oh yes, yes, yes. That was bad too. Oh, for those that sit around and think, well, Jackson did things too. It's like, yes, and we didn't like them. But why do we forgive Jackson? Or actually, I don't forgive him. But why are we generally saying that that trilogy was probably the best adaptation we're going to get? Is because for the vast majority of it, he landed it. And objectively, all the movies are all good movies. And that was his job. Some people fall into the trap of thinking that, one, everyone thinks that it was the perfect adaptation, meaning that it was exactly like the books, and then trying to point out it wasn't like the book. Of course, we know that. I mean, everyone knew that the very first time we saw it, when the movie premiered. Yes, we knew what was different. It's not the same. And another trap is people think if they've seen the movies, they've read the books, that they don't have to read the books because they've seen the movies. No. The movies like having Coke. I'll take a Coke where the fizz is a little off, but not so off you can't drink it, and not so off that. but the books is like a glorious one in a lifetime experience of Coke. Yeah, not having Glorfindel in Lord of the Rings was a shame. Yes, it was. Having Arwen step in, though it didn't alter anything, but I agree that would have been awesome. But I can also understand, see, that's one I can kind of understand because we weren't going to see him again. But he felt like he wanted to introduce Arwen. Otherwise, we would have just only really seen her in the Rivendell. And even then from a distance. 10 years of work and nothing productive, and they get Tolkien. Yeah, imagine that. And I'm sure they whined, they dined, they did all this stuff. You guys are so great, and they're too dumb to not know that they're the sacrificial lambs. Yeah, I'm not gonna bring up the article. I'm done searching. And I again, I don't wanna go into more detail. I think we have. Thanks, Shane Noel. Oh, thank you. Well, it's Timon. Hello, Timon. A little over a month before the World Cup starts, and I still have mixed feelings about it. What's the World Cup? World Cup's always awesome. Do you think Amazon will interfere for season 2 of ROP? Good question. If I were Amazon, I would fire the entire team. Say, okay, we've got to get good writers in here. But I don't think there's actually good writers that would take it on. I've used this analogy before, but maybe for some people in the chat who weren't there or haven't listened to what I said the other day, if someone said to me who's maybe composed very minor works, and usually ones for children, nothing wrong with writing things for children. So that there's a lot of great literature for children, but it's just my toe in now and then for something I was inspired to do because I thought that a particular class would do very well with it. They were to come to me and tell me, "We've decided we want someone to write Beethoven's 10th symphony, and we want you to do it." No musician would say yes. And me, as somebody who's not the conductor of the New York Philharmonic, would never say yes. Like, even the greatest conductor in the world would not be able to conduct it, would not be able to write it. The greatest composer in the world would not be able to write the 10th symphony. That's what they are having these guys do. It is absurd. So I don't think that there's any writer that would say, "Yeah, I'm gonna write something that Tolkien never could." A fantasy show. Fantasy. When he is a quintessential fantasy writer. I there was a quote I found by Tom Shippey. Well, it was in my book, my thing of essays. What is it? The Tolkien author of the century. And he does a whole chapter about why Tolkien, well, the whole book is why Tolkien is the author of the century, but in his introduction, one thing that he says about Tolkien is that there may be better fantasy writers than Tolkien, but what he did and what he accomplished, and this was a quote, Tolkien did not invent heroic fantasy, but he showed what could be done with it. He established a genre whose durability we cannot estimate. Zach says, what does Zach say? Oh my gosh, I am 7 minutes behind. Great point. These writers are finished, as are most of the cast. They're being used. Yes, yes. Though someone like Morgrid, is that her name? The chick who plays Galadriel, she might be okay. She's a good actress. She's a stage actress. Actors, I think, can survive better than the writers. So I'm going to slightly disagree with you, but they're being used. But I mean, what actor wouldn't say yes? There was an actor from Once Upon a Time that he said that someone asked him what his favorite role is. He's a character actor. He was one of the guest stars. He said the best role for me is the role I have. He said most actors don't get a lot of work. And when we get work, we're just so grateful. Oh, more hugs and woof woofs. He was the only ordinary human being who deliberately refused the ring. Oh my gosh, I love Faramir so much. I love this man so much. I want him so much. I want him to be real. Yes. You see, and gosh darn it, how awesome is that? So him actually being tempted that far. Oh, no. They tried to kinda make it that he did when he let Frodo go, but that wasn't even as close to when he's just like, "I wouldn't pick it up if I saw it lying on the side of the road." Love that man. Yeah, Zach says, "I believe PJ had good intentions with counts." Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does count. And that's why I think people don't hate his guts. He's also very humble when he talks about the changes. He even talked about this with Faramir in the commentary. He was like, he saw what they said, he heard what they said, and he's like, "Well, at this point, it was already filmed. There's nothing I can do about it." And he understood, and I think that some of what he wrote into the Return of the King and some of those pick me up scenes that they put into the extended edition were inspired by that. Yeah, and he was honoring the work, and he wasn't trying to do anything but adapt it. He wasn't trying to recreate it. And that's why I don't hate his guts, if you will, over The Hobbit. Atrocious. Most of The Hobbit was atrocious. But I don't hate him for it. We all knew why he did what he did there too. That was the studio, and he wasn't even supposed to be doing them. It was supposed to be like 2 movies at most. Diggle says, "I shall not say what I think of 2, dum-dums." Agree. Okay, I'm gonna move a little faster here because I don't want people to feel like I'm not getting to them. But I'm humbled and happy that there's enough people in the chat and enough interaction that it's taking me a while to get to it. Thank you so much. And I like that you all are talking with each other because that's what I want to provide. That's what makes me a happy little camper. Big apologies. Uh, oh, this is a year of Hexa, Miss Martin Muses. Okay, I don't know what that means, and if it's something about football, I do have an excuse because 'cause I've said I'm a half fake fan of football, that I like to watch it, but I don't understand a damn thing about it. I've always liked to watch it, I just don't get it. Rather some of the intricacies and the details and who was who and their stats and certain strategies. I don't think, says Sultan Al Fahim, I don't think even amazing writers could fix it at this point. No. No. Well, it was doomed from the start. The moment they realized they could not get the rights to the Silmarillion, it was like, "Oh, oops, never mind." But the hubris of them, the arrogance that they thought, "Well, we'll just make something up and call it Lord of the Rings and everyone will love us." Nope. They should let me write it. Hey, Biggles, you do a better job. But again, if you think you can out Tolkien, that's an issue. Zach says, trying to write the novel Tolkien never did is prideful. Saying out loud is foolish. Ooh. Well said. Well said, Zax. Absolutely. I've even used a stronger word than foolish, but that is, yeah. Yeah, what did I say? I had a quote about pride yesterday because for no reason whatsoever, pride is on my mind. And yeah, what pride will cost you everything and leave you with nothing. Shansu says Deep Roy has made statements, I think, like that. In one interview, he said that his father taught him to never refuse work. Yes. Yes. Very few actors have the capacity to say no. The ones that can are very, very lucky. Again, there's an understanding though with actors. You can be forgiven being in a bad movie. look at Tom Cruise has been in bad movies. Oh my gosh, he's done terrible things. And Bruce Willis. What was that really, really bad one? Bonfire of the Vanities. Wasn't Tom Hanks in that too? Yeah, sheer effing hubris. Yes, thank you. Yes. Hexa 6, the 6th World Cup for Brazil. Oh, not being Brazilian. Okay. You know what? Why not? Go Brazil. Go Brazil. I like that. You see, that's what I love about football. There's like an oomph to it that people just don't necessarily get. There's a spirit of it. Like in Cork, you know those little chants he used to sing? And you'd change the words though to, everywhere we go, and then you would say, "We're from Cork." And, one person would sing it, the other person would sing it back, and people having their football scarves and freezing to death. People rooting for their club in the Premier League and people rooting for their country. I was lucky that once when I was in Europe, in Ireland rather, during the Euros, that was so much fun just going to the hotel pub and watching the matches with everyone else. I will root for Brazil. How's that? Because I don't think America, are we even in it? I I don't know. If we are, we suck. Sultan, they should have had Galadriel wake up in a dress and made season 1 of that dream. In a dress or in the shower, like on Dallas. Biggle says he got Eric July's comic and his characters weekend. He's too prideful. No, that's a good theme. Pride is such a great flaw. Yes, like Dallas. Oh yeah, like Dallas. Sean Connery, Zordok's just saying, "How's it all going?" Well, hello, Corey. Hello, Corey. Yeah, in our family, we usually root for Ireland first in the World Cup, France second because we have a bit of a connection to France. We should root for America first, but we suck. And then whoever's left at that point. Uh, I like that. For you, I want Brazil. Greetings, Biggles. It was great fun. Hiya, everyone. Well, hello, Chrisanne. Thank you for being here. We got 13 people here in the chat. Like, share, and subscribe if you will. Thank you. I appreciate y'all being here. This is a great discussion. Hiya. Yes, hiya. I'm upset about the way they're doing the World Cup this year. Just goes to show that they don't care about principle. They just care about money. They virtue signal about everything else until it comes to the World Cup. And also because of its location, they had to move it to the winter, which is interrupting the Premier League. Biggle says, I feel like you're talking about a make-believe sport. Well, for you, Biggles, I know that it is. It says make-believe as baseball. Timon Flip says, U.S. is in the same group as Wales, England, and Iran. Okay. Well, out of everyone in that group, I'm going to root for Wales. I should root for the U.S. because actually the male team hasn't been a bunch of douchebags. It's been the women's team. I was a huge fan of the women's team, the women's World Cup team, the women's our U.S. team, until Megan Rapinoe came in and ruined everything. And then it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Greetings to you. Yes, hurtful. Oh, yeah. I'm going to convert you one day, Biggles. How's this? I'm going to take you to, let me see. I want to say probably most Americans know about Liverpool or Manchester United or Man City. But maybe even no, not we don't have to do a Premier League match. Do do a championship, or even the one below that. I forget what that one's called. Just really get to the heart of what football is. She was insufferable. Yeah. I am planning to do a football for the rest of us, so please be on notice because I might be drafting you, Timon. Of course, I will ask you because I would love to do a stream about that. Be- and I would be one of for the rest of us because I I, I don't know it the way other people do. All right. Oh, you mean the lady with purple hair? Yes. Yeah, she's a cat. Bitch. Okay, there I am. I said it. Well, we could expect Tempest Girl to survive until next episode. The Tempest gas in her will save everyone. Maybe that was what really caused Mount Doom to be created. It exploded. I can barely watch my niece play it. Just say when. Okay. All right. It'll be when I can arrange a time. I'll DM you because it might be easier to do it during the daytime, my time, since a lot of my other friends I know that are into football are in the future. They're in Europe. Oh, laughing. Yes. The gosh, that'd be so much fun. Yes. And remember, what would you like to muse about that means that anything goes in here. Anything goes unless I decide to veto it. Unless I decide to veto it. For reasons. Sometimes I'm just like not touching fat, not with a 10-foot pole. Very few subjects, but if it does come up, that's fine. So here's the thing, and I think I'm planning to get into it tonight, Jacob. So you're warned, because I have chosen several characters from the First Age, from the Silmarillion. Holy those stories are so badass, some of them. And if they'd been able to adapt, just imagine if they'd have been able to adapt all the Baron and Luthien stuff. And you have romance, you have this, you have strong women if you want a strong woman. Or I so bad want to see Finrod. I wanted to see Finrod doing his big sing off with Sauron and then fighting off the wolves. Oh gosh, how awesome would that have been? And the Numenorians done properly. How good would that have been? You have werewolves. Yes, agreed, badass. Yes, and Turin. I mean, that poor bastard. That poor bastard. If you have not read the story of Turin, and I also love Turin because I think out of all of the characters in Middle Earth and all of Tolkien's work, he is the winner for having the most names. The winner for having the most names. Ah, yeah, they could adapt the story you just straight from the Silmarillion and the material in the Children of Hurin. Glorfindel and oh gosh, this is where I feel really bad because I really really butcher the pronunciation. And if ever you're like, "Oh my gosh, Teresa really pronounced that well." It's because my chat corrected me when I was going through the books when we were going through that. And the playlist is there. If you want to go through the books, especially the Silmarillion, that was a fellowship of its own. We went through it together. Gondolin, gosh, yeah, all that Gondolin stuff. Son of a biatch. The Slayer. Yeah, he killed a. Oh, for fuck's sake! I hate. Oh, I cussed. I cussed at my iPad. I do have to keep my eye on things because this helps me follow along when I'm a solo person. When I am a marvelous lady with 1,000,000 subs, I'll have someone help me help me with this stuff. It's great though. I love it. Or the horse scene. Is he the one who got like mind controlled? Which one are you talking about there? I'd have been okay with them doing an inspired by story using no named characters. Well, I'd have given them a chance anyway. I think we might have we might have forgiven them for that. Hmm. It would have sucked. People would have made fun of it, especially the way they all were acting. But it feels like blasphemy having Galadriel and Elrond and oh gosh. I mean, even Celebrimbor, it just is wrong. But no one would have paid attention to it. See, that's the other thing. They they wanted a ready-made audience. I prefer the third age. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, more power to you. Well, that's where The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings takes place, and that is the epic part of it. Hmm. Yeah. The thing about the first stages, though, we've just never really seen them portrayed. And I've got some actors that I would really love to see do those. I used pictures from other movies they were in to make it so. I, I do have a cast for I do have a cast for Turin and Feanor. I mean Feanor. Oh my gosh. If they wanted to have a whole Gladriel thing going on, all that stuff with Feanor and when the kinslaying. I have only the audiobook. Yeah, I can't spell the name with most of the names. Yeah. And what part of my problem was I never had to say them out loud. It's one thing to read them, even to hear them, but then to try to speak them, you're like, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I almost cussed at my computer, lol. Yeah. I don't remember which one fought the Balrog and which one fought the Witch King, the one that gave the prediction. Etchit fought the Balrog. The Hobbit movies now look better in every way because the TV shows. Yes, don't they? Well, and you can also see that when Jackson was adapting the material in The Hobbit, especially the first movie, did so well. The whole opening scenes with the dwarves coming in and Bilbo's like, "What are you doing here? What's going on?" And they just come in and start eating all his food and they start singing the songs and the music, the scenes with the trolls, the riddles in the dark, and really, oh, that moment that Jackson really milks, and rightly so, because it was so significant when Bilbo had the chance when he was going to perhaps kill Gollum, and he chooses not to. And we know later from The Lord of the Rings that that changed everything, that the whole quest would not have been successful if Bilbo had done that. That's compassion of Bilbo is in many ways what made the quest successful. Um, uh, but isn't it interesting, Sultan? The stuff that sucked in The Hobbit was the stuff that they made up. All that painful, painful stuff with Legolas and Toriel. Oh, that hurt so bad. It was painful. Rohan fanboy. Hey, there is nothing wrong with that. When I saw, well, in the movie, when I got to see the ride of the Rohirrim, their charge on Minas Tirith, I cried just seeing all those horses and just how beautiful the majesty of it. And of course, the way that Tolkien wrote that. In the book, they actually were singing as they were charging. I think that would have looked bizarre in a movie, but oh man, I'm a Rohan fangirl too. I love Rohan. And I love Eowyn. Though I'm jealous of her because she got to marry Faramir, but that's okay. If someone had to, that was a perfect match for him. And a perfect match for her. She just didn't know it. And that's what I love about the whole thing with Faramir and Eowyn. When he explained to her, you love the idea of Aragorn. You didn't love him. And of course, she couldn't have. She just met him. In the case of Faramir, well, they relatively speaking fell in love kind of quickly. They 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 saw each other every day, all day. It even says in the book they would walk together and they would talk all day. So they knew each other. And Eowyn had to let go of a lot of baggage, not just about some of the things with Aragorn, but that what she felt about Aragorn was more problems with her own dissatisfaction and all sorts of other stuff. And he understood her so well. Both fought Balrog, but Glorfindel fought the Witch King and made the prediction. Oh, thank you very much. Nolan, oh, thanks for reminding. True. Okay, Zach says, remember how important and satisfying it was when the King Theoden led the Red River from the front? Yes. Okay, I'm so excited. I'm slapping my hands. I talk with my hands. Yes. They think Galley leading the Norman were saying, no, not at all. Not at all. Oh, and in the book, it was like Tolkien's like, even though they were thundering, they were riding for their lives. Theoden still stayed out ahead of him, and they're like, he rode as no other rider had ridden. And it was his last ride, of course. He was going to die, and and he was just like, on to Minas Tirith, on to Minas Tirith. Yes. What Galadriel did wasn't close. Well, there's several reasons why what Galadriel did wasn't close, because it wasn't, but it wasn't earned, was it? I haven't watched it. I refuse to watch it. I just know enough about the story. The whole background of Theoden and the Rohirrim and their culture, what they'd been through, what Theoden had been through with being bewitched and feeling maybe in a way that he'd let down his people, and he lost his son, and he and just having an old man, or someone very close to being old, definitely on the end of his life, giving one last hurrah like that for his people. It was also very patriotic. Them with their horses and things, that it meant something to them. It was magic, and the music, yes. Music is powerful. Music is magic, and as do certain reviewers. Yes, I'm not sure entirely. I'm a little bit behind. I would love to see the fall of Gondolin, and yes. Yes, Éomer is my favorite. Oh, yes. Good character, great character. Even though it was really, really sad what happened with Theoden dying, but you could have seen it coming a million miles away. It's almost a thing. It's like, okay, the old dude going into battle, he's going to be the one that's going to die. But that made him the king, and how he became the king on the battlefield. And it was like, right, and it was Éomer who said the ride to ruin and the death and all that chant. That was great. That chapter from the Pelennor Fields in the charge of the Rohirrim is one of my favorite chapters of the entire trilogy. Just to read it is just amazing. You can find Tolkien reading that passage. It's amazing. I've seen that. Yes. I And they also show it. Is that the one that's juxtaposed with the scene from the Return of the King? And there was one portion of it that I hadn't caught until I saw it being read at the same time, when he said that the Rohirrim came up like the rolling up of a wave, and you see them coming up over the hill like that, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, Peter Jackson." Okay, 2 eyes. Okay. Not sure what that's referring to, but that's all right. I'll have to look that up, Zax. Yes, yes. I think you can Google it if you wish. It's really, really good. Well, for one thing, if you can get that man reading his own work, in general, many authors reading their own work is the best if they have that skill, and of course, that man did have the skill. Jacob Ironside says, "I wonder if there could be a show about the siege of Barad-dûr. It lasted 7 years. Surely have a series about that." Oh, yeah, absolutely. I should perhaps know the answer to this about why they didn't have the rights to the Silmarillion. I don't know if they were denied it or if they don't want to sell it to anyone or is it tied up? And is it altruistic? Like they said, no way. But then again, if they didn't give them the rights to do the Silmarillion, why'd they give them the rights to do this trash? That could be good. Yeah. I don't know the answer. All of those could be good because it's the story Tolkien wrote. Again, let's just go back. If everyone's like, we're going to write the story Shakespeare couldn't write, and then people are like, you have 10 million other plays you can adapt. It's just there waiting for you. And then to hear them blowing their war horns. Yes, 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 yes. Ah. And then the music, the Rohan music playing as they start as Theoden rides forward. You know. See, and it's those moments that Jackson was able to capture so well. Moments like that. Oh my gosh. And he also did a really good job, of course, with the whole Sam carrying Frodo up Mount Doom. Oh, I bawled. I bawled so hard. I bawl when I read it. I bawl when I see it. I bawl when I think about it. So that's why I'm actually not going to think about this. I'm going to move on. I think Christopher refused. It's possible. It's possible. I don't think, though, Christopher would have had the power to stop some of it because isn't there some of the stuff with the original rights? And the only reason I say that is part of the reason The Hobbit got so delayed that the original director left and Peter Jackson had to step in at the last second was the rights were so tied up between all these different studios. All these different studios. But I guess this is a very long way of saying nothing beats the books and nothing beats what Tolkien wrote. Says here, Jansu, just a casting alone, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Ring was just fantastic. Yes, the casting was excellent. Casting was excellent. Though you, shameless plug for the stream tonight, the casting that I did is there was some physical casting that was more accurate to the books. Nothing against David Winhelm, for example, as Faramir, because I thought he was absolutely perfect. He was great, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he's supposed to have raven hair. He's supposed to have black hair. So I found myself a hottie. And someone that also looked like he could be Faramir. Hound 3000 needs some hugs. I don't want them to do any of the stories now. No, no one does. Oh, he's got it. There you go. Thank you so much, Shane. Thank you. I mean, thank you, Zach, doing that for Shane. Good stuff. It's good stuff. You know what? Let me go ahead. Can I even do this? I honestly don't know. Give me a second here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this so you can share there, Zach. There you go. But since we're all evil, it just took it all to a whole new level. And it's one of the oddest ways to gain friends. You're evil. Okay, that's really going to make me want to watch it. And even the greatest art there is, nothing is above criticism. And the whole idea that if you criticize a work that could make you evil, like what the it just, again, it's like people living in the 13th century getting offended by the Albigensians. Something is it's heresy. Well, though they did have issues, but you know what I mean. It's like they're people that are responding to heresy and must be proclaimed excommunicado. And I said at the beginning of the stream, for those that weren't here, I don't even think Almighty God is that judgmental. I might be doing a separate video on this. Here it is. On this letter. It is from letter, it's from letter 202. 202, where Tolkien is talking a little bit about allegory and stuff. And he says, there's no symbolism or conscious allegory in my story. Allegory of the sort, 5 wizards equals 5 senses, is wholly foreign to my way of thinking. There were 5 wizards, and that is just a unique part of history. To ask if the orcs are communists is to me as sensible as asking if communists are orcs. Then he goes, there is no allegory. Oh, sorry. That there is no allegory does not, of course, say there is no applicability. There always is. Now, watch, though, what he says is applicability or could be. And since I have not made the struggle wholly unequivocal, sloth and stupidity among hobbits, pride and something that's ineligible among elves, grudge and greed in dwarf hearts, and folly and wickedness among the kings of men, and treachery and power lust even among the wizards, there is, I suppose, in my story to present times. But I should say, if asked, the tale is not really about power and dominion. That only sets the wheels going. It is about death and the desire for deathlessness. That's from the man who wrote the friggin' work. Did you hear him once say, even if he's conceding, the things that he's conceding could be applicable to his work? He never once says friendship, cooperation among the races, all this stuff that they said that it was. Welcoming everybody. No. Anything that Tolkien chose to say, he says, okay, maybe what? Warnings of, sloth and stupidity, pride, elves and pride, grudge and greed, folly, wickedness, treachery, power lust, and most importantly, death and the desire for deathlessness. So if this idiot, oh, now I'm being mean again, wanted to say what the heart of Tolkien's work. I mean, he even said that, like Tolkien, the spirit of Tolkien. Isn't that what he said? Something where, like, he was basically saying, this is what Tolkien said it was all about. Friendship and bullshit like that. No, he never said it. You said it. So you're setting up a straw man saying this is what it's all about, and if you don't like it, then you're evil. I wonder if these people even read the works, or if they, or even more so, perhaps they even know what they are doing, and they're doing it on purpose. They're setting up straw men on purpose because they're trying to frame people with legitimate dissent from any credibility. Jacob says, just wait for our casting call tonight. It's going to be awesome. Shameless plug. Well, thank you. Yeah. Oh, thanks for the link. Yes, thank you. Commies are far worse than it works. I like that. I like that. Well, they were evil. More. They made Yahtzees look like teddy bears. I mean, gosh, the amount of people that were killed. And I'm not trying to say anything was worse or whatever. It's all evil, but they did some pretty awful things. Fortunately, Amazon was unable to touch those stories, says Hound. Yes. Elves are elitist buttheads. Yeah, well, Tolkien himself says right here, pride. We were talking earlier about pride. Beware of pride. Pride will come before a fall. And when I see people fall, but they were prideful, it's hard to feel sorry for them. Hard to feel sorry for them. Got too, what do they call them? Too big for your britches? Shane, awful and twice the body count. Yeah. More than twice, I think. And goodness knows the ones we never knew about. If you are playing at home, that's letter 262. Letter 262 from Tolkien's letter. If you have the book with Tolkien's letters, I'm so glad I already did all the work like 25 years ago. If I was having to try to dig through things now, oh my gosh, I would really be struggling right now. But it's fun, and I do enjoy sharing some of my scholarship with some people when they're trying to fact check some things. It's good. Let me see something here. I'm trying to bring this up. Let's see. Gosh, there is so much material here. Yes, commies are lizard people. Well, hello, Bianca fights zombies. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. Everyone's smiling at him. Yeah, no, I had the opportunity once the wall fell. Almost immediately after the wall fell, I was able to go and drive in with a German family to East Germany, what was East Germany. No one who could see what I've seen would ever say communism is good. It was one of the creepiest things I've ever experienced. It was like it was like Back to the Future, but in a bad way. You're minding your own business, you're driving along, and you're in the 1980s, and suddenly you're in the worst of like the 1930s. It was dirty. It was the the cars, everything. It was like old fashioned. It was like traveling back in time, but in the worst possible way. And there was still crap from World War II. And we were in Dresden, and we were going, why are all these bombed out buildings everywhere? And they were like, they just didn't bother fixing them because communism didn't do that. And some of the churches, they were just bombed out, and they just left them. They left them for 40 friggin' years. It it was evil. It was creepy. It was horrid. And I got to talk to some East German people of my own age, and the stories they would tell me about, how they were just scared to say anything because what they would do is they wouldn't hurt you, they'd hurt like your grandma. They would go for your family, and that was how they kept people in check. And it takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of fortitude to be able to make a stand for something, knowing that your children or your elderly grandma or your parents even are going to be the ones that will take the torture. Sean Sue says, I feel bad knowing that this will be the first exposure to Tolkien for some people. Yeah. The only silver lining that might be in it is it might inspire some people to actually read the books. And if this has to happen, then fine. We'll do that. And they may not even know that this isn't adapted from the Silmarillion and the stories that you will find within the Silmarillion from the Akelabeth. So they might buy it in ignorance and then be exposed to this beautiful story. Though I always say, do not ever start with the Silmarillion. You want to start with the Lord of the Rings, or even start with the Hobbit. The Hobbit is a cute little story. Hobbit was written for children, but it still has adult themes in there. Everyone's saying hello. Okay, thank you, Keck. Thank you. I'm still trying to find the actual quote from these darling little idiots. There we go. There we go. To juxtapose, and maybe I will do that for my video as well. Straw men are also particularly evil because And you got to be careful. In my home, okay, I'm gonna put on my Miss Martin teacher hat. Don't ever, when you're arguing with people, accept their premise when their premise is wrong. I see this happen so many times, and it's so frustrating. If you accept the premise, they've already knocked you off the main point. And if you accept the premise, you're accepting that what they're saying is true. Okay. Okay, here's the actual quote that this guy says. The spirit of Tolkien, pain. Pain. Yes, you bring the pain. The spirit of Tolkien is about disparate peoples who don't trust one another and look different from one another and finding common ground in friendship and accomplishing big things. That's what he says the spirit of Tolkien is about. That's what he says his work's about. Disparate peoples who don't trust one another and look different from one another, finding common ground in friendship and accomplishing big things. What does Tolkien says? Pride, greed, folly, wickedness, treachery, power, lust, and if there's any applicability in it. And most importantly, what this really is all about, the whole story is really all about power and, oh, I'm sorry, what the story is all about, it is about death and the desire for deathlessness. That's what Tolkien says it's about. Did you hear him once say friendship, trust, disparate peoples, all that? Now, of course, all right. If you're a 3-year-old or you're a 5-year-old and you're watching the cartoon and you're like, oh, they're all friends and they're all getting along, that's great. Yes, of course, you're going to make that the applicability thing, but that is not even touching the surface of what Tolkien is all about. And what he's presenting, you're cheating yourself. No, I will say that Jackson put a lot of emphasis on that in his movies. Which is what makes me think, has Payne even read the books? Has he read Tolkien? Has he read the scholarship? Has he read his letters, his essays? Because that is what is so great about Tolkien. We don't have to worry about what he thought he told us. I still read The Hobbit every year when I read them again. Yay, yes. And we reread them too. We reread them too. So if I have them on a playlist, I wish we could take some of the ignorant woke lefties to these communist countries and show them how bad it is. Yeah. I have never met anyone who has lived or seen those places that thinks it's a good idea. It was not even today, it's not uncommon. You'll go to mass and there'll be like a first communion and there'll be an elder person that'll start yapping with you about what it was like behind the Iron Curtain. And it, unbelievable what it was. People need to be taken on field trips to see it. They need to. Communism is ultimately what happens when you decide to use the One Ring against to do good. You've got to do bad things for good things to happen. The ends justify the means. And of course, Tolkien just said, of course, obviously, he doesn't think it's like communism, okay? But that is a theme that you never use the ring. And the fact that you will be tempted to use the ring for good. That is a very human thing. A very human thing. What are they protecting? I don't know. Maybe the story Tolkien wrote, you dumbass. Zach says, hey, Pops. Oh, hi. Okay, hi, too. Hi, Pops. Pops, thank you for subscribing. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you. And I appreciate all of my subscribers. I gave a little love letter to all you the other day and to the chat, because where am I without the chat? I'm nowhere. I'd be sitting here yapping to the wall. You all are great, and I am so happy that you are here and you're interacting and very intelligent discussions, and you help me. You help me because, for crying out loud, anyone that says that they know everything or anything about any topic they're a liar or they're very insecure. I, I feel very inadequate sometimes whenever I am talking about Tolkien, and there's just there's just so much. There's just so much there. Let's see. Miss Martin Means, did you ever see that German movie, The Lives of Others, East German Staatssees? No, I have not. I probably should. Is it in German? It might be. Oh my gosh. Are you in the real? Okay, wait. I shouldn't have dead air, but that dead air was jealousy. Pure and unalterated jealousy. But then again, there's nothing stopping me from doing that. But if you, sir, are where oh my gosh, and tasting port in port. Oh my gosh. Well, have some for me. Have some for me. For a variety of reasons, I will not be able to toast to along with you, but on my behalf. Oh my gosh. This is in German. It's amazing. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because a lot of those I found that didn't get translated into English or weren't released over here. And well, everything's always better in the original language if you can read the subtitles. It says, "I'm here, thank you." Okay, I just got done saying how much I love and appreciate my chat, but right now I am jealous. But I'm happy for you. Get it, everyone, if you can, get your buttocks out and travel. I went through a phase in my life where I was like, no, I'm going to be serious, blah 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 blah. And then I hit about 35 and I said, why the hell am I not spending my money on traveling? And I did every summer did and in the winter too, I would do lots of traveling because I've been trying to see the northern lights. I'm trying as hard as I can, but I should be able to start that up again for a variety of reasons. There's some things going on where that are kind of anchoring me here to home, and that's okay. That's okay. My latest experience was adventure was a hurricane. Don't recommend it, but I'm very grateful that I am in a position where I can um, help people and assist. Have a I am not even going to try to pronounce that, but I bet you it's something in Brazilian. Did I just say something really ignorant? I just said something really, really ignorant. Let me say that again. Portuguese. I'm going to have to hand back in my anthropology certification. I do have one, by the way. Oh, gosh. I just lost my it's in social anthropology and my history and my I don't know if that's political science. Oh gosh. See, this is where I'll just go and I'll delete that part of the stream. I was thinking Brazil because I know you're in Brazil. Okay. Oh no. Try it, Miss Newton Mars. Muses, read it. Cheers. I've had several. Okay, here we go. Well, yeah, you won't be as judgmental as a certain Scandinavian. I, I, I guess. But then again, this is a lot closer than those languages. It looks and sounds like gibberish to me. Okay. Have a pastel de Belém. I hope that's correct. I am horrendous at Spanish pronunciation, let alone I have no idea of the rules for Portuguese. I went to the shop. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, Zax, I sure hope that you share lots of pictures and videos and all that, especially when you get back. I'm keeping my eyes on the clock here because I told you it's either until the coffee goes away or Pilates because Pilates is important. Let me give a PSA. I know it's hard to get out and do exercise, but it is so vital. And if you can fork out the dough to do classes, that helps because it forces you to. Like, for example, if I woke up today and said, I don't feel like going, but darn it, I've already paid for it. Okay, then I'm going to go. It helps you. And I have some really, really good health right now. My blood work and all that, how every year you get that done, and the fact that mine is perfect, I owe that to that. And there comes a time in your life where you're really grateful that you have exercised, especially exercise is it also helps you mentally as well. All right. 90% correct. I'm 90% correct. Yay, me. All right. You know what I can do is I could probably type that in and um what do I say? Uh where people pronounce crap for you. I'm assuming that it's a toast. Or is it the name of something? Oh, I am so ignorant when it comes to Portuguese. I really am. I'm so ignorant. I'm trying to get better with Spanish. I've started going to mass in Spanish when I can because I found that if you don't use it, you lose it. So I'm really good at saying things like pecado, like sins, and um, el cielo. So I can say things like that, and La Paz. That's where I have to speak during the sign of peace. But it's really hard to learn a language if you're not being forced to say it. And where I live, I've been trying to maybe see if I could try, but everyone speaks English too, so it's like, ugh, it's a custard tart. Oh, I thought it was a toast. Oh, my ignorance. But hey, for in my defense, I never studied that in anthropology or in my history. Your health is your wealth. Yes, basically a custard with a pastry with custard. Okay, I'll look that up. Maybe I'll try that. Yeah. Um, and no judgment. No. Oh, that's the alarm telling me I have to get ready for Pilates because I once got into a rut when I was working so much, and you get tempted to sacrifice exercise. But the paradox is, if you do your exercise, you'll feel better at work. And uh, COVID helped me a lot get back into the routine because I had nothing better to do. So I started getting back into the routine and kept it up. And if you can join a class, that's probably the best way to do it. Basically, okay, pastry with custard, pastel, pastry or cake. Oh, got it. Got it. Well, I'm sorry. It's it just reminds me, Portuguese is something that I don't even hear spoken too often. I remember there was a cute thing when the Holy Father Benedict XVI, he did a tour and he was like in like Argentina, and then he went over to Brazil and he started speaking Portuguese, but he was pronouncing it like Spanish or something. And then he started chuckling and goes, "Oops, I'm supposed to speak this like Portuguese or something." Yeah, pastel. All right. Again, I do have to get going because I have my class. Uh, Pilates is good. It's good for chicks, but what I found is good about Pilates. It has especially helped with graceful things because Pilates also is incorporated with ballet. There's a lot of ballet kind of stuff in it, and strengthening, and it helps with the joints. And they even say that as you get older, and sadly, I'm not getting any younger. I'm in my 40s. To spoiler alert. That if you strengthen your joints and all that through things like Pilates, that as you age, it can actually offset that. Like you're strengthening the things that you're going to need, that you don't want to lose. If you ever come to Brazil, I'll make a list of what you have to try so your trip will be complete. I might. Oh my gosh. I've never been to South America. I've never been to Mexico. I wish I'm so close to, but because of the cartels, it's just not safe to go there. But I had a student say, because he wanted me to go visit the Guadalupe, Our Lady of Guadalupe. He goes, "Our Lady will protect you if you go there." Because I guess he says nobody messes with the Lady of Guadalupe. So but that's the first place I'll go, but that's Middle America, of course. But Brazil, yeah, there's some things I'd love to see. Good night. Thanks, Teresa. Enjoy your class. Well, thank you. Thank you all. I do appreciate, again, all of you being here and keeping me company. I'm going to try to keep these up as much as I can. It will all just depend on, well, if my availability and other situations that I might be dealing with. Um, I'm going to be where I am at least for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to, no, another week. Yeah. And then I'm going back to Florida. We were so lucky that our only damage was external, and it's a condo. So the association, it comes from your dues and all that, and fixing up the pool. But as I do sign off, though, gosh darn it, if you want to just very quickly, if the chat could throw in, because I did say I wanted to talk about good fantasy, just throw in the chat books, good fantasy. Right now, of course, I'm doing the Sword of Shannara, which is loads of fun. I'm also reading the Dritz books by R.A. Salvatore. Uh, Dritz is a great character. I'm just being introduced to him. The Dark Elf trilogy. There's Dragonlance. I've recently read the first 2 trilogies of Dragonlance. The Feist novels, The Magician Apprentice, and all of the Rift War books I would throw out there. What else? What else? Yeah, Terry Brooks. There's Terry Goodkind. I've heard good things about his work. Who's the other one? Tad Williams. Tad Williams. So if anyone in the chat or anyone listening in the replay would like to say some good fantasy, because we do need to have good fantasy, and there's no reason that we have to accept crap. Okay, no one is obligated to do anything. Go to your thrift stores if you can't find them, and find them. Drix is awesome. Yes. Well, you know what? You just earned a lot of points. You earned back all the points you lost for not liking football. Dritz is awesome. I'm loving it. Yeah, the Icewind Dale trilogy, the Frostwind Dale trilogy, the precursor. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for saying that. The Chaos Curse is really good. Okay, thank you. The Chaos Curse. Teresa, were you able to change the images into PDF files? I will. Oops. I was gaming at a gaming thing last night. Sorry, Icewind Dale is correct. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought there was a new one. Frostwind, Icewind. It will work. It will work. I promise you, Jacob. I promise you. And I'm thinking that I can share them through the StreamYard, or if not, I will find a way. It will be done. I am going to be a good girl about that. Yes. What about Black Company and the Mouths of, sounds good to me. I don't know, but everyone look them up. Like I said, just throw them out there. Throw them out there. Yes. And I'm proud of those images, Jacob. So they will be sorted one way or the other. Actually, what time is it? Okay, I have time to test that out before I go out, so I can give you a definitive answer in the DMs. So have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, and be certain to not take judgment from anybody but the God Almighty. And remember, even He is not as judgmental as the idiots who are show running the Rings of Power.